Okay. So there are a few points which are left out, which I want to cover up today. Uh, I told you that there are preprocessor statements. If you remember, we had hash defined, right? Some constants we could define like 3.142. Now,
Right.
suppose this 3.142, the pi is already defined in some header file. Then redefining that will overwrite it. Okay, so if you don't want to overwrite it, there are conditional preprocessing statements. So let us say we have another file. Let's call it as test.h. So this is my own header file in which I have already defined hash define pi. Let's say I've defined it as 3.45. Let it be some wrong value. And if I include this file, if I include this file, hash include, I should use double quotes because it is in the same directory, test.h. Now in test.h, I have hash defined 3.45 and in main.c, I have hash defined pi 3.142. Now, in this scenario, what happens is the pi value will be the most recent one that will be used in your program. For example, if I have float area equal to some pi r square, I will use radius as a constant here. Now, in this case, it will use this recent pi value 3.142. Okay. Now, what might happen is this constant value might have been defined in some header file provided by C programming. For example, there is one hash define max that might be set to some large value, and you also define max. Then what happens? It will overwrite that. Okay. So in this scenario, if you don't want this to be overridden by the most recent definition, then you can use a conditional preprocessor. That is, if not defined, then you define the new value of pi like this and end it, hash end if. It means what will happen? Now it will check whether this pi value is already defined in some header file. In my case, I have defined it in test.h. So it will not use this most recent definition of pi. It will not use 3.142. Instead, it will use 3.45. Now, if I print the area, let's see what answer I get. Area equal to percentage f comma area. And if I now run the program, I get 86.25. Okay. If the pi value were correct, it would have given you 78 point something. Okay. Now what I do is if I remove this header file now, what will happen? That pi value is not defined in any of the other header files which are there in my file. In particular, this stdio.h, there is no pi value. So it will use this new definition of pi 3.142. In this case, the area of circle will be 78.55 as expected. Okay. So you got this point, conditional preprocessing statements. Hello.
Yes, sir. Got it.
Okay. Now this was one small thing which was not covered earlier.
And also, sir, like, so what is the format for writing a header file that?
No, nothing. You just have to open a header file and
No,
start defining and
no, like
yeah,
in our, what I see is like we there is some guarding like header guards and all.
there is some.
Header guards, some hash define like some text, and in the last we again like if not define something.
Yeah, that's what. This is the guard against the new value which you are defining here. If it is already defined, don't use it. So if not defined is one of them. If defined also there is one.
Okay.
So there are some variations which are available. Okay, so most useful case is this: if not defined, you define it. Okay,
Just
so if whenever when you build some C program with lot of header files. In
Hmm.
some of the header files, it might have been already defined. So why you want to define it? But you don't know whether it is defined or not. In that case, you use this conditional preprocessing. If it is defined, then it will not use this. If it is not defined, then whatever you have defined will be made using your program. Is that okay?
Hmm.
Okay. Now, yesterday there was a question that can we write an entire structure using fprintf? Okay, so I told you that you cannot pass the entire structure in the fprintf. However, you can pass the individual parts of the structure. So let's see how that can be done. So if you remember, we had one structure by name employee, where we had employee ID, then we had employee name, and then float salary, and we have to tag it like employee. Now if I define an employee object, use and initialize it, let's say 100 comma some Kiran comma some 5000, like this. So can I write this using fprintf? That was a question in a text file. So I need to open a text file here. So I need to use a file pointer fp is equal to fopen some emp dot dat comma write mode. So this is a simple text file, right? I am not using wb. In that case, it would be a binary file. So in the text file, if I want to write, you can use fprintf. Okay, and you need to specify the file pointer. Here you need to put each individual part of the structure with the format specifier. So first field is your percentage d slash d, second field is a string, third field is a floating number. So here you have to pass the individual members of the structure, empid comma e dot emp name comma e dot salary. So you can write the structure into a text file using fprint using this syntax. Okay, so let's see all of that whether it works or not. We need to close it. All right, so if I run the program, type def, it should be. Then this pi value I have removed, so I will eliminate this. Similarly, this. So it should open a file and write. So employee.dat has come here. As you can see, the structure content is written as text. So if you wanted space in between, you could have written slash t. Then if you overwrite that, you will see employee table will contain employee ID, name, and the salary. All right. So if it is a text file, you have to format. You have to supply the format specifier, and individual members of the structures have to be written separately. Okay. On the other hand, when we used a binary file, emp1.dat, and opened with write mode binary file, you can write this structure directly with fwrite. You need to specify the address of the object. You need to, yeah, we have already created that object. Then you need to specify the size of the structure employee, and then you mention how many objects you want to write. In this case, only one object, and then the file pointer. In fact, I should use fp1 here because I can't use the same file pointer. So the difference between the two, you can clearly see that you can pass the structure directly, and you will see in the emp1 it is written in binary format. In emp.dat it is written as a text format. That's the difference. The advantage would be if you have an array of employee objects, then you have to set up a for loop wherein you do a printf for each of the object. Whereas in fwrite, you can directly mention how many objects you want to write. Let's say in the array all employees we have 3 objects. You can in one statement you can write it to binary file. So writing to binary file is more efficient than writing individual objects. And binary files are more compact because things can be later compressed if you have a compressing algorithm, and you can read the binary file directly into the array of structure. So all that is possible. All right. So this is one clarification I wanted to give. And I'm sure all of you are familiar with many library functions which are there in C, which few of which we have not seen. Of course, some time back I mentioned about uh, pow function. In some program we are using that. Let us say we have two double variables which are initialized to, let's say, 4 and 2, and you have another double variable c. You can use POW function a comma b. So this will print square of 4 percentage f. So the pow function will expect two double data types, and we need to include math.h. It should be m small. Yeah, so as you can see, it is squaring that number. So this is one library function. The other library functions which are not looked at are ASCII to integer, okay, and is digit. So these are some small library functions which are useful. For example, whether a number uh, is a digit or not, you can check. For example, we have char star number equal to 1, 2, 3, a, like this. So you can check whether this is the number or not. It will take only the first part of it, 123, and tell you it is a number or not. Okay. And if you want to, sorry, if you want to convert into, if you have a ASCII code, you can convert it into integer. So ASCII to integer, and these are possible. Let us say int x equal to ASCII to integer, and if I pass the number here, let us see what happens. We try to print x. ASCII to integer, it should be standard lib, right? Hash include std lib. Yeah. So in this string, only 123 is integer, so it will extract only that part. Okay. So if it encounters any ASCII code, that is where it will stop. Okay. So on the other hand, if you start with ASCII, it will probably print 0. Okay. Because it is not an integer. So any number which starts with some digits and it may contain some characters in between, it will extract that number until it encounters a ASCII or a character element like A, B, whatever it may be. So in this case, 3299 is what gets printed. Okay. So these are some functions which are useful sometimes. That is, you are given a string containing some digits, and you have to extract only the integer part of it. So ASCII to integer would help. Okay. and then whether a number is a digit or not, you can check. So I think so it is digit or something. Okay, so let me check that in my program which I've written here. My projects. The function which I'm using. So ASCII to integer we saw. POW function we have seen. Yeah, there is one more function called as str token. STR talk. This is very useful when you want to tokenize a given sentence. That is, you want to extract individual words of a sentence. So let us say we have a sentence here, character string, have a nice Monday and a better Tuesday. So you can use str talk. You have to pass the string from which you want to extract the individual words. And the second part indicates the delimiters. How do you want to extract the elements? So here I'm specifying comma. So moment it encounters a comma, it will try to separate the tokens. Now in this case, I want each individual word separated by space also. You can give a space like that. And suppose if it contains one semicolon and you want to skip semicolon and also tokenize, then you can specify all that. So there is one comma, there is one space and one semicolon. So first time when you call string token, it will return have. And until you reach null, that is until you reach end of the sentence, you want to continue and extract each individual tokens. You first print the first token, and then next time when you call string token, you should not pass the string, you should pass null. Okay, and then put comma, semicolon, or whatever, space, semicolon, like that. Okay, so whatever uh, delimiters, this part is called a delimiter. Now, how does it know where the word is ending or uh, new word is starting? So you have to specify the delimiter. So there are commas, semicolon, and spaces. So it will check for these things and tokenize. So once you get the token, again you print it and be in the loop. So when you run this program, you will see the entire sentence is tokenized like that. So have a nice Monday and a better Tuesday. Okay. And if you skip this semicolon here, it will not separate this better and Tuesday. They will come as one word, as you can see. Yeah, there is a space here. So if I only put semicolon, I need to, you can check this with this. Now there is no space. So you will see, it's compiling or not. Okay, okay. So here also I should remove it. So as you can see, better Tuesday is not separated because we are not given the delimiters here. So since I am using string token at two places, you must put semicolon even inside the loop. Only then it's going to do the change. All right. So we have certain very useful library function which you can make use when you want to process the text files. All right. So word count is one problem which you can solve where you read one line from the file. In fact, sometime back I had given you an assignment where you read a text file, take each sentence, and then from each sentence you separate out the words and put them in array of pointers. So that problem can be easily solved using string token function. Right? Yeah. So this is all what I had to explain today.